Would you like to know how to network with millionaires and billionaires? Well, having now met a lot of billionaires in my life and tried to build my own network of cool and interesting people, I continue to get questions on this channel about how to do that. And so I wrote down kind of 5 rules that I have kind of lived by. And, my wife jokes about this. She's like, Alex is the networker of, between us. And a lot of the things that I've had happen in my life that have been good have happened as a result of a conversation or a connection that I've had from someone I've met randomly, right? And so I think that there's something to be said for having a deliberate process for networking without seeming like a skis, right? Which is just like, how can I meet cool people and just improve their lives while also improving my life? I know the saying like your net worth is your network is your net worth. I'm not sure how much I believe that, but I do think that a lot of the big things in my life happened as a result of other people. All right. So here are the 5 rules that I will share with you and there's 2 of them that are really, really good. Number like 4 and 5 that I highly, highly recommend and I don't hear anyone else say. All right. So the first one, really simple, is whenever someone introduces themselves, you always want to make sure that you remember their name, right? And so what I do is whenever I shake someone's hand, I say their name and I keep saying it in like the beginning of every sentence I say. And I do it that way because I want to say it like 10 times throughout the conversation and it'll stick with me. And I'm usually pretty good at remembering names and people remember that. It's the favorite word in whatever language someone's in, their own name is their favorite word to hear. All right. And so you want to say it to them as much as you can because then they will know that you cared and you gave them respect and made them feel more important. All right. So number 1 is you always remember the name and you say them a lot of times. Number 2, you got to get the contact info, and otherwise, you're not going to actually have the network. So what I do when I get someone's contact info is I immediately text them, and I text them some sort of funny anecdote about myself or the conversation we were just having, right? And so for me, it might be like, I'll say their name and my name in the text because sometimes you forget to save the contact, all right? So it's like, Alex Hermosi, mustache gym guy, right? Or something like that, right? I would say something in that vein. And then I would say, nice to meet you. And then, Sam Gamgee, whatever, right? And so by doing that, I see both names are there. They know relevant stats about me. And if you want to be extra bonus, put their stuff in there too. Furniture dude, whatever, right? And so that way you gained rapport with them early on. 2, you got their contact info, and the thing is when they look back at that text thread later, if you can get them to laugh a little bit, they'll remember, oh yeah, that was that cool guy or that funny or that dude who was relatively upbeat and pleasant. So I would like to contact him again in the future, right? Now, rule number 3, always provide value first, unsolicited. All right, so this is a key point. If you had a conversation, the goal of the conversation should be to figure out how you can provide value to the person, not what that person can do for you. All right, it's a big one. The goal, and if you really want to truly build a great network, you have to give first and you have to give it unsolicited. All right, so it's like, hey, I know you were talking about this. I pulled up a bunch of these suppliers that I've worked with in the past. I thought this might be valuable for you. And honestly, the more work you do in this unsolicited give, the more people will respect you and want to do business with you and keep you in their lives because you provided value first. All right, it's a key point. You provided value first. Sorry about the smudgy, weird ass camera shit. Rule number 4, and this is the biggest one. This is like my biggest secret to networking, so write this down. Always say yes to the first ask, all right? Always say yes to the first ask. The reason it's so important is that people aren't going to try a lot of times to be your friend. If you met up at a networking event or you met at a mastermind or you met at a something, right? And the first ask would be like, hey, let's touch base next week on a Zoom, or hey, let's meet up in person, or hey, I'm in town where you're at, you want to grab lunch. I always do everything in my power to say yes to the first ask, which means that sometimes I'll move stuff that's already there to accommodate the first meetup. All right, because I have learned this, and I learned this really early in my life, that people only ask once. And most times if you don't get that first ask, they'll never ask again. Right? And so we want to take advantage of, now, if you're on the asking side, the key is to ask many, many, many times, right? But if you're on the receiving end, say yes to the first ask. So the 2 sides of that one are say yes to the first ask. And if you're the one who's asking, ask multiple times because sometimes life comes up and sometimes the people that will end up being huge players in your life later, sometimes they just get busy and it has nothing to do with you. Rule 4, always say yes to the first ask. And rule number 5, never ask for anything Just don't do it, because they'll immediately assume that you are trying to use them for something. All right. And so if anything, if you need help on something and you're hoping that someone will help you, then what you can do is when you're catching up, you can describe a problem that you're currently dealing with. If you have any level of rapport and this person wants to have a continued relationship with you, they will usually offer help to help you out. All right. And so what you can do is don't ask them for anything. You can describe a problem that you're dealing with and talk about it. And then usually they will make a reasonable ask. And this is why giving first is important, because people are reciprocal in nature. If you give and you give well and you give unsolicited early and you never ask for anything, people will find a way to give back to you. Unless the person really doesn't want to be your friend, in which case you don't need to be friends with them. Because at the end of the day, if you want to have a network that you actually enjoy, then you want to network with cool people who, are reciprocal in nature and want to give back too. So those are the 5 rules for networking that have served me very well. The last 2 especially are probably the most important, which is never, always say yes to the first ask, or ask multiple times if it's you, and never ask for anything from them, because then they will always see you as a positive force of giving that is always just helping them out, and they will be more inclined to build a relationship with you in the future and want to do business with you. All right. So there's the 5 rules for networking. Mosey Nation, keep being awesome. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Alex Mosey. I'm on acquisition.com. We have about $85 million a year. So keep being awesome. I make these videos because a lot of people broke, and I want you to be one of them. All right. See you next video. Bye.